Another day, another Nintendo Direct. The usual fanfare. A new amiibo, a bunch of games that look exactly like the last game featured in the last Direct, ports, remasters, Splatoon stuff, more ports, more remasters. Then, it finally happened. A remaster of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I played this game years ago and I loved it. Perhaps my favorite of the Paper Mario games. Perhaps one of my favorite RPGs of all time. But enough about that. You're here because of the other announcement. The Tomb Raider trilogy. Let's fucking go. Okay, don't leave yet. I'm gonna talk about F-Zero for real now. So it finally happened. Hell finally froze over. Some sick bastard dusted off the monkey's paw and asked for a new F-Zero. I don't know if it's that guy who bought a shitload of Nintendo stock and asked the higher-ups what the situation was about F-Zero, but somehow, someway, after being in an almost 20-year-long coma, F-Zero is back. Except it's a gimmick 99-player Battle Royale game. But something is better than nothing. I could ask for a new Star Fox if I wanted to, but the thought of Nintendo making a Star Fox 99 is the only thing stopping me. Most of you would crash your R-Wings in the first 5 seconds. I just know. Let me give you a quick update on where F-Zero left off. The last game in the series was FZero Climax in 2004. The game would take place in the GP Legends universe and would feature characters and the art style from the Falcon Densetsu anime that was out at the time. This game was actually pretty good. It came with the built-in track editor and had different variations of tracks depending on the difficulty. It had e-reader support, and the boost fire, where your car turns into a hypersonic Beyblade and the screen gets all wavy. Come on, this was amazing. How did these pilots not violently throw up on themselves, or keep all their muscles and organs inside their bodies when they do this? But unfortunately, the game never left Japan. Never received a localization. Reviewers thought the game was lackluster and an expansion disguised as a new game. A disappointment from the last GP Legends game. And the sales numbers were... they were bad. 5,000 units sold. Think about it. If a game selling 3 million copies could be considered a failure, and this is Square Enix being idiots, mind you, what does 5,000 sales look like in comparison? That just hurts my soul. And you would have better luck finding Tupac alive on a deserted island chilling with Biggie Smalls and Elvis Presley than you would finding a physical copy of Climax at a reasonable price. This game is expensive. Over $100 just for the cartridge alone. It is an extremely rare game after all. And if you think that's bad, wait until those WATA assholes get their hands on a copy. Only the 5 richest kings of England would be able to afford it.
But I would sell it for $1 million.
GP Legends and Climax were both developed by Suzak Inc. They mostly worked on PS2 games and handheld games with a few Nintendo licensed games in their library. With Nintendo's support, you would think that Suzak would be doing well financially. How's 700 million yen in debt sound? They filed for bankruptcy in 2012, and Climax's low game sales didn't exactly help this company either. This was a few years after TYO Entertainment had a management buyout, which made Suzak, a former subsidiary, into a third-party developer. Fun fact, 700 million yen is around 4.7 million USD. We've seen a lot of these 99 games surface over the years. One of the more popular ones was Tetris 99. It's crazy to think that a 40-year-old Russian puzzle game is still able to reinvent itself after all these years. Did you know that the guys who invented Tetris didn't get any kind of payment or royalties from the Soviet Union? Did you know that one of the creators of Tetris was found dead alongside his wife and son? And the Russian mafia is rumored to have framed it as a murder-suicide? That is some wild shit. After Tetris 99, we got games like Pac-Man 99 and Mario 35. The premise of each game was simple. Play the game with 98 other people, and basically try to survive until there was only one player left. People are comparing this to most Battle Royale games like Fortnite and PUBG, and the whole Battle Royale genre could be attributed to the success of the Japanese cult movie Battle Royale, based off Koshun Takami's 1999 novel of the same name. Basically, the grown-ups are fed up with the kids and their bullshit, so they put them on an island, give them a bunch of weapons, and let the problem solve itself. Now let's put the K-pop stans and the Swifties on a bus and apply what we learned from this film. If for some reason there is no winner, then everyone dies. The grand prize for winning the BR is not dying on a deserted island in the middle of nowhere. Better than nothing, I guess. And this film inspired a ton of movies and games around the Battle Royale concept. This kind of works in F-Zero's favor, because the first game was actually a Battle Royale game in some way. F-Zero had a rank number. It starts at 15. You need to be in 15th place or higher to continue racing. Finish in 16th or lower and you lose a life. And the rank number gets smaller after each lap. You have to finish in 3rd place or higher. Super Mario Kart did the same thing. You have to finish in the top 4 or you lose a life. Then your kids laugh at you. Then the existential crisis builds inside of you. So who developed F-Zero 99? At first I thought it was Arika. Arika has had their hands on the 99 market for a while now. Tetris, Pac-Man, Mario 35, all Arika. They've been around for a long time. Street Fighter EX and Tetris the Grandmaster. That's how long. And after all these years, they're still going strong. Developing ports of Fighting EX Layer, Tekken 7, and the soon-to-be-released Tekken 8. But surprisingly, F-Zero 99 wasn't developed by Arika. Nintendo Software Technology, NST, would be developing F-Zero 99, a subsidiary of Nintendo located in Redmond, Washington. Here's an interesting bit of information. NST developed the N64 emulator that was used by the Nintendo Wii's Virtual Console, and they localized Sin and Punishment. So maybe F-Zero 99 will be in good hands. I won't know for sure until I fire it up, which is right now actually. I should mention that the game may be free to download, but in order to actually play it, you still need an online subscription. That's how they trick you. Me, I got a free trial of Nintendo Switch Online for a week. Your boy didn't pay a single dime to play this game. I know you're jealous. When you start the game, you get a brief little tutorial. You join a few races with the AI, then you're on your own. After a few AI races, you'll be prepared, or as prepared as you will ever be, to start racing 98 other humans in the most intense death race you will ever see. The game itself, to put it bluntly, is straight up chaos. There's the standard 99 race, and events that rotate over time. You get to do team battles between green and pink. Not sure why red versus blue isn't used here. The two colors that have become the standard for team battles. Pro races where you get to try some of the harder tracks. The more races you do, the more tickets you rack up, which can be spent in order to participate in the Grand Prix or Mini Prix. 5 consecutive tracks with each car racking up points based on what place you come in. The most points wins. 79 cars will be ranked out during the Grand Prix with 20 moving on to the final track. The Mini Prix is the same, but costs less tickets and has 3 tracks instead of 5. If you crash out or fall below the safe number, you're out of the Grand Prix. But in the realm of F-Zero, death isn't always the end, because there is an afterlife. This is the lucky bumper. For a brief period, you get to rack up points. Just slam into people and maybe you can get some payback on the guy that killed you. Of all the bumpers I have to put up with in this game, the blue ones give me the most anxiety. Nothing's more fun than dominating a race and then one of these fuckers shows up and vents their frustration at you. But that barely happens because F-Zero is in my blood, and I avoid these fools like Shakira avoids her taxes. She owes a shitload of money in taxes. Now, as a resident expert on the field of Formula Zero racing, allow me to share with you some of my in-game psychology as I learn more about how this game works. We'll start with boosting. No little green S boosts. We're using the car's health to give us boost power. When I play the 3D F-Zero games or the GP Legends games, I tend to boost like a madman because there's more healing areas in each track, and I want to go fast. Really fast. In the classic game, 1 health strip per track, so you need to be way more conservative with your boosts. And depending on your car, you may not get much of a return on your health, which leads to an early death. Plan your boosts ahead of time. I tend to be more liberal during the final lap, mainly the home stretch. I learned the hard way that greed will get you killed. Your speed drops and a slight bump will kill you. You need to have patience if you want to have any kind of success in F-Zero 99. Memorize the tracks and plan your boosts accordingly. Your run can go from great to shit in no time, and having low health is as bad as having no health at all. You can get more health and more boost by committing vehicular homicide. Either a spin attack or a nice shove with your car should do it. See this car? The smoke around him indicates he's on the brink of death. Kill him and you not only get a full recharge of your health, but your health bar grows larger, which means more boost power. Even if you take a few bumps, you still have plenty of health to recover. You can also kill the bumper cars. I have had a decades-long grudge with these fuckers, and now it's payback time. Thank you, NST. You may not get health from killing them, but you still get the bar expansion. Just avoid the red ones. We don't fuck with them. I haven't even gotten to the best part. If you are playing the Grand Prix, the health bar carries over to the next race. The advantage this can give you cannot be understated. And since you get boost power immediately after you cross the starting line, in some races you can go straight to your top speed by boosting immediately. Great for those practice mode time challenges. We made it so the Fire Stingray, with the worst acceleration in the game, can now go from 0 to top speed in less than a second. No one man should have all this power. I have a lot more tips to share with you. Accelerating just before the race starts can net you a nice head start, or it can cause an engine backfire. And if you want the head start badge, the Golden Fox will get it for you with its fast acceleration easy. Just hit the B button before the big go shows up because the Fox burns out very quickly. The spin attack gets recharged immediately after a jump, so any section with a bunch of jump pads is great for spamming the spin button. And the spin has more applications besides the inevitable bloodlust that consumes us all. I find it more useful as a defensive move. It can push other cars out of the way. I use this when there's a turn coming up and it's rush hour, or when there's a boost plate so I don't get pushed away from it, or when one of the bumper cars spawns in a bad spot so I can negate some of the impact. But my most important rule, don't worry about trying to get first place. And that has nothing to do with the fact that you suck or there are cars jammed in every orifice of your body. The reason I say don't worry about first place is because you want your pilot grade to go higher. I don't know what this does exactly, other than getting some more tickets. But I will not stand for a C- rank. No fucking way I'm settling for a C-. So to increase your rank, you have to finish before any of the 4 specific pilots this game picks for you based on their grades. The more you beat, the higher your grade meter fills. But if you lose to all 4, then your rank meter decreases. I came to learn that this should be the thing I focus on. First place is great and all, but the grade becomes my top priority. And I've had a few instances where I pushed my car to get the lead, but it ended in tragedy. Again, patience if you want to keep your rank up. You can find more helpful hints in the game's menu. And one last thing, why is the brake button? You will probably never press this button even once, because real men don't use brakes. The captain's words, not mine.
FZero TV.
So now it's time to talk about the vehicles. All 4 of them. While they keep their stats, acceleration, speed, and handling from the old days, things are a bit different now. With the addition of the updated boost meter, it changes the meta in a big way. Let's start with the Golden Fox. The car I hated the most because it gets bodied on Master in the original game. But how will it handle against the faster and tougher cars? It's weaker and slower than every vehicle, but its quick acceleration made it viable on harder tracks. While the Fox still retains those characteristics, it's a much different car than I remember. The Golden Fox gets all its health back in seconds when it enters the pit, much faster than the other cars, which means it can boost forever. Dirt, recovery after a crash, or just for the fun of it, hammer the boost button. A course like Deathwind, where the Golden Fox used to struggle because of its speed, is now one of the best tracks for the Fox. He can just boost the entire time. It gets better. This car jumps in front of the pack at the start of every race, but the Fox is still a glass cannon, like it was made out of cardboard and held together with used band-aids. This car can die easily if you get too careless, but a good pilot will be so far in the lead that they won't even know that there's 98 other people in the competition for second place behind them. The Blue Falcon, car number 7, the middle ground car. Higher speed and more health than the Fox. Can boost much more frequently than the Goose or the Stingray. As of now, the Falcon doesn't really struggle in most situations, at least for the time I've been playing the Falcon. It might be the easiest car to get into if you're new to F-Zero. It doesn't have a huge weakness, but it doesn't have any significant strengths either. The Wild Goose is probably the most popular car out of the 4. Some might even call it a noob-friendly car, and I can see why. Fast, tough, but doesn't have the boost potential as the previous 2 cars. In 99, the Goose doesn't get pushed around nearly as hard as the other cars. It barely moves in this tsunami of machines. This car can easily bully the other racers, even other Gooses. Or is it geese? The Fire Stingray is one of the harder vehicles to get into. Like the Golden Fox, it's a more complicated machine than the rest. It has the fastest top speed, and if you can master the cornering, you are making turns at 470 kilometers per hour. You are leaving the competition behind, even on the pro tracks. However, it is the slowest out of the gate with the worst acceleration in the game. It struggles to keep up at the start of each race, which also means that one mistake could put you far behind. Another issue is that the Stingray's health recovery is abysmal, which means you need to use your boost sparingly. This car may be tough, but it's not invincible. It is the polar opposite of the Golden Fox in every way. Out of the 4 cars, the Stingray might be the toughest car to master in 99. Your execution has to be near flawless when you play with the Stingray because the recovery is trash. As long as you can get bumped from behind, you'll regain your speed in no time. The Stingray sometimes has to rely on this to make a comeback. With all these facts on the table, the balance between each car is interesting to say the least. I don't feel like one car has a huge advantage over the other, but I think it depends mostly on the track. Some cars can dominate certain tracks and others struggle. It was like that in the original. Each car has its pros and cons, and it also depends on your playstyle. You gotta find the shoe that fits. After all, it is much easier to balance a racing game with only 4 cars than it is to balance a fighting game with over 60 characters, or God forbid 80. I have no idea how you balance this shit. Now F-Zero, to me, has been the antithesis of Mario Kart. While Mario Kart gave players opportunities to overtake other racers, with items and such, F-Zero was an itemless, skill-based racing game, and a challenging one at that. If you were good, you win, and if you sucked, stop sucking and get good. So when the Skyway was introduced as a comeback mechanic, I was a bit skeptical at first. I would see cars jump in front of me. I would see cars cutting across gaps in the track, taking on hairpins faster than top speed. They even had boost plates up there. It seemed like it went against everything F-Zero stood for, the skill-based game that I've known for all these years. And after I sat down and spent some time with it, I asked myself, how can I use this to my advantage? I stopped thinking about it as a crutch for a lack of skill, because if they did suck, they would lose their rank and fall back down in no time. They weren't going to maintain their lead for very long, because when you're in first, the game starts to pile on the bumper cars. They descend from the heavens to fuck your Grand Prix up. And it becomes a nightmare when there's a large group of them that you have to dodge. Just look at this shit. I will throw this entire race before I touch the brake button. Instead, I saw the Skyway as another tool I can use to gain the upper hand. You collect these yellow balls on the track. They come from cars bumping into each other, so there is an unlimited supply of these things. You might spot a golden bumper that gives you a ton of balls when you ram into it. You're not going to see these if you're in the lead, unfortunately. When you fill the meter, press the boost button and ascend to the heavens. It seemed like there were places on the track that allowed you to stay in the sky for an extended period of time. See, the sky track can't drop you onto a hairpin or out of bounds. That would be stupid. So if you pick the right spot to trigger the Skyway, you can stay in the air longer and gain the upper hand. And some of these Skyways can be so stupid they might as well be considered cheating.
Two hours later.
Look, trying to overtake all these people when it looks like Black Friday at Walmart, it's not easy. Even with the cars with terrible acceleration. And since the boosts are limited, I probably won't be able to make any kind of progress anytime soon. Especially if you get bumped into a wall or bumped away from boosts. And another thing I should point out, it's very, very lonely at the front. It's just me and the AI, and the blue bumpers that try to ruin my life. The only challenge at this point is just trying not to fuck up. There's this duality going on in every race. The quiet solitude of first place, and the absolute chaos that goes on behind me in the distance. At the time I started working on this video, it seems like only the 7 tracks that were available as practice tracks in the Super Nintendo game are available to play. The entire Night League, with Whiteland 1 and Port Town 2 as well. And then the Queen League dropped and I had to redo half of this video. Thank you, NST. You can see in the announcement trailer that they're playing on the rest of the tracks in the Super Nintendo game. And all these empty spaces in the practice menu and in the pilot section of the workspace implies that these tracks will be added in the future as free updates instead of paid DLC. But once Firefield drops, none of you fuckers are making it to lap 2. It seems like all the tracks in 99 are faithfully recreated, just the way I remember them as a kid. And yes, the Port Town jump is secured. And after all this time, I can still picture each track with my eyes closed. Nostalgia hit me like a Nia Jax shoot punch. What would be pretty sweet is if content from the BS F-Zero 2 made it into 99. The Ace Cup and the vehicles too. Perhaps some of the GBA cars and tracks can make it in. Or maybe some of those Satellaview tracks that were lost over time can be recreated here. You know what would be really wild? If they start adding Super Mario Kart tracks. That would be insane. Or maybe there can be variations of each track, like how Climax made different versions of established tracks depending on what difficulty you selected. You can have a Novice, Standard, Expert, or Master version of tracks in place of the Pro selection. Or maybe, I don't know, local multiplayer? I don't see a reason why this game can't support split screen, or the ability to create lobbies or group ups so my friends, what little ones I have and they all don't give two fucks about F-Zero, can play together without hoping for the machine to bless us with the same lobby by mere happenstance. With passwords so the random 8-year-olds can fuck off and play Roblox, or drink bleach on TikTok for views or some shit. Because if someone like Darkside Phil is playing this game, I want to be in his lobby so I can kick his ass on his own stream. Grant me this opportunity and I will swear my allegiance to your little handheld toy and its drifting Joy-Cons, Nintendo. And I also want to touch upon the music for a few seconds. It's basically the Super Nintendo music copied and pasted over, but it sounds a bit too compressed for me. Here's a quick side-by-side comparison. It sounded fine in Smash Bros. Ultimate too. I don't understand what happened. I was just hoping for some better lossless compression. It should sound crisper. And one last thing about F-Zero 99. It has rollback netcode. Sounds good on paper, but this is that shitty Nintendo Switch Online rollback netcode. So the other cars bounce around like pinballs when they could be standing still on the other guy's Switch. And there were so many moments where I was certain I got a KO, but I never got the KO because the rollback couldn't decide if the car was still alive when I got to him or not. I'm using that USB Ethernet thing that came with the Wii U, and for the most part, the games have been stable. But sometimes that connection thing turns red and I start to wonder if NSO is a fucking scam. But did NSO rollback and questionable online netcode stop me from winning a Grand Prix?
I can't lose in my fire stingray.
I've seen all the articles and the interviews, the ones where they claim they want to do something with F-Zero, but there was no clue on where the series could go. I know it's not the F-Zero we all wanted. I know it's not really the F-Zero I wanted either. I wanted a GX remaster just as much as the next guy, with online functionality too. I wanted Climax to finally be localized and have the second chance it deserves on the Switch. I'm not sure if I even wanted a new HD next-gen game, or a new F-Zero at all. I have no idea how you can top GX, or even make a game that wouldn't be a disappointment in comparison to GX. Nintendo was bugging Sega for the source code because even they couldn't understand how GX was possible. That's how impressive it really was. If you told me to make a better racing game than GX, I'd leave without giving my 2-week notice. Fuck right off. I've seen the announcement trailer for 99 get a decent amount of dislikes and fans being divided about this game. What little fans are left at this point? Maybe it's F-Zero 99 because there's only 99 of us F-Zero fans left on this earth. I can understand the frustration. Is 99 just a cash grab of the Battle Royale craze? Or the 99 gimmick? Or is this an honest effort by Nintendo to try to push F-Zero into the spotlight once again? Perhaps it's a test to gauge audience reactions to see if there would be any interest in F-Zero. What little interest is left in this world. But if it does spark enough interest in this franchise and the demand for a new F-Zero is loud enough, then is 99 really that bad of a game? Sure, the need for an online subscription sucks, and this is the same company that charges people to back up their saves to a cloud. The same company that told you that Joy-Con drift doesn't exist. I would rather play with that stupid Wu-Tang controller than those cheap pieces of shit even if they did work. But maybe the F-Zero fandom expected something much better after 20 years of silence than another 99 game. I think we all deserve much better, honestly. But we need to keep in mind that this franchise is a money pit. It doesn't make the Fortnite money, or the Call of Duty money, or even the Mario Kart money. Not even close. And it has nothing to do with the quality of the games. It just doesn't have the mainstream success and Nintendo doesn't see it as profitable. It wouldn't be economically sound if the time and money was spent on a next-gen F-Zero and no one buys it, regardless of the demand. That's just the harsh reality of the situation, and nobody wants to see F-Zero succeed more than me. But you know what? I actually enjoyed F-Zero 99. I actually had fun with it. I was going into this with some low expectations with my F-Zero bias to get me through, or maybe the excitement of finally being able to play F-Zero online for the first time would cloud my judgment. It took Nintendo 33 years to add multiplayer to the original F-Zero. Jesus fucking Christ. I wasn't expecting a chaotic, 99-man race on tracks that weren't built for 99 people to have any kind of enjoyment. And yet, I actually enjoyed it, and I'll probably go back and play more when I'm done with this video. From what I heard, and I'm taking all this with a grain of salt, there's supposed to be added modes like survival and arcade mode added later on. This is supposedly leaked info. There was Firefield footage in the announcement, so we should be getting the rest of the King League down the road for sure. Can't wait to race the 6 other survivors in Firefield. I'm gonna renew my NSO when that shit drops. I don't know what the future of F-Zero is going to be after 99. Will it get one more shot at glory? Was this just a one-time thing? How long is the expected lifespan of F-Zero 99? Will it be delisted like Super Mario 35? Or Pac-Man 99? Will it be ported over to the next Nintendo console, or will it be shut down when the Switch Online dies in the future? Nintendo just announced the end of the Wii U and 3DS Online functionality, which is a bit concerning. It might be forgotten and replaced once the next 99 game comes out. All I know for certain is that Takaya Imamura is happy. And if the artist from the original F-Zero is happy, then I'm happy too. So I had to give it a shot. Take the wisdom I've given you, and do slightly better than 60th place. Or give Nintendo the middle finger. I don't care. Just remember, if this game becomes a massive hit, Nintendo could misread the entire room and make another gimmick 99 game instead of a next-gen F-Zero. That would fucking suck.